Veganism is a philosophy and way of living which finds to exclude, as far as is feasible and practicable, all forms of profiteering of, and ruthlessness to, animals for food items, clothing or any various other reason, and through extension, ensures the development and use of animal-free alternatives. It is likewise liable for the preservation and management of all animals in or around the wild from the time of their overview till right now. In nutritional terms, it represents the method of dispensing along with all products obtained wholly or mostly from animals. The interpretation likewise applies to other food items products as well. Observe, e.g., the problem of dietary purity versus nutritional material of diet products mentioned in the afterthought. Ultimately, the interpretation for a diet component can be interpreted as a certain explanation of foods items that are to be eaten just in the title of, or to some various other title of, the label. There are several techniques to accept vegetarian living. The only technique to recognize the influence of eating animal products is to consume an entire vegetation diet. All vegetations and pets are important, and the food items market's interest in animals is to develop a whole lot of plant substitutes that will support us and support us. Nonetheless, these vegetation options are not necessarily bad for you, it's simply that we need to get that out of our heads. The other significant point is to think rationally concerning it. Yet one thing all vegans have in popular is a plant-based diet regimen, staying away from all pet foods such as meat product, including fish, shellfish and pests, dairy products, eggs and honey, as effectively as avoiding animal-derived products, products assessed on pets and spot that make use of. I recognize why the veg area is careful of a vegan diet plan, but the primary purpose of the publication is to supply a framework for teaching individuals regarding what veganism definitely implies. Although the vegetarian diet regimen was specified early on in the Vegan Society's starting points in 1944, it was as overdue as 1949 before Leslie J. Cross aimed out that the community did not have a definition of veganism. The label was after that utilized to explain all various other animal rights actions under the label Animal Liberation Movement. In 1948, it became the second label to be changed, veganism. The group was disallowed at that time, and members might not be paid for subscription. He advised he guideline of the liberation of creatures coming from profiteering by male. We can easily merely acknowledge the ethical and economic value of the idea of cumulative sacrifice, and that the fact that such a principle can easily never be executed is because of the reality that pet sacrifice in any kind of type is a subject of our historical scenery, and the reality that this is later on cleared up as to seek an end to the usage of animals through male for food, assets, job, hunting, dissection, and by all other make use of involving exploitation of animal lifestyle through male. The animal rearing area is not obliged under this heading to address any kind of participant of this area of animals kindly, nor to help the participants, but just to work with the members. The culture was initially signed up as a charitable organization in August 1964, but its possessions were later on transferred to a new charity when it likewise ended up being a limited firm in December 1979. Its properties, in certain its offices, were marketed for €6 per straight meter, but some 4,000 of its shares were not stored by the charitable organization and a further 5,000 were provided by an exclusive capital company. As a result of its unsatisfactory performance, lots of its members were inevitably forced out of the organization. The definition of veganism and the philanthropic objects of the society were changed and refined over the years. This has led to a lot more significant emphasis on the function of neighborhood as the structure of social activity and area life for vegetarian topics. It is important to be mindful of how this has been deciphered in order to help make comparisons and distinctions regarding how these two groups may administer in the modern world, and to determine potential regions that are not in arrangement with the present understanding of veganism. By wintertime 1988, the present meaning was in usage, although the wording has changed slightly over the years. The brand new meaning might alter the phrasing or also the phrasing of the initial paper, that is, the interpretation itself might be modified, the authentic file may be revised, and the existing definition might not essentially be appropriate to the initial documentation. This modification may take place if an existing paper becomes out of date, or has been produced obsolete because of an irreconcilable change.